So in daily activities and in bodily and mental processes, I always have kind of right attention towards the phenomenon. It is only the nature. Its nature as rising and passing away. So is it the right practice? And is it the yoniso manasikara or right attention as taught by the Buddha?
In the beginning, we should pay attention to what we know. We know the breathing, the suffering, and the mind. We should pay attention to one of them. If we used to pay attention to the breathing, we can pay attention to the breathing. If we are not mindful, we will pay attention to the outside object. As soon as we remember to be mindful, we should be mindful to what we used to be mindful. We must change our mindfulness from outside to inside. If we have concentration to the object we are used to be mindful, we should not control our mental action. If we let our mind to go outside, it will be wandering to the outside object. So if we keep our mind to the inside, if we keep our mind to our body, it will keep on knowing inside the body. We should try to be doing only without paying attention to our mental action. We should try not to grasp our mind and its action. In fact, our mind is not something we own. It is doing its way. We must try to be able to use only without rejecting and attaching. To follow the middle way, we must try to go beyond doing as we used to do and not doing. We must try to use our mind to be using only, and we must do meditation to be doing only. We must try to all our experience to be experiencing only. We must try to all our knowings to be knowing only, without attachment. We can be mindful only to what we know. If we know the process of rising and passing away, we can be mindful to that process. If we are knowing the rising and passing away, we should try to detach from that process, from that knowing. we must try to use this process to be using only, to be knowing only. If we are paying attention, we can pay attention to rising and passing away process, but we should try to be doing only without attachment. We can also know the rising and passing away process, but we must try to be knowing only without attachment. This rising and passing away process is not to reject and not to attach, to use only. This process is not the truth of something or someone. We must try to understand only rising and passing away process or impermanent nature is true. Something or someone is to use only, not the reality. Although we are knowing the rising and passing away process, if we cannot detach from the mind and body, we are not, our knowing is not the right knowing. We all are using our life with attachment. Sometimes we use our life with liking attachment. Sometimes we misuse our life with disliking attachment. Sometimes we may be free from liking and disliking. It is also we are using our life with misunderstanding attachment. Because we are misunderstanding our life as someone or I. Only when we are able to be using only to our life, we will be free from attachment. So also we must try to use the process of rising and passing away to be using only. We must be able to detach from this process. We must be able to detach from the knowing of this process. We must be able to be experiencing only of this process. Using what we used to do is not using only. To be right attention, we should try to be doing only without attachment. This is the way what Buddha wants us to follow.
Because we may mention that there's nobody, no I in others, and how do we know that we do something not for others? Because we have the habit to have the idea of I in others.
If we see from the view of the original truth, there is no I, no you, not someone, not something, no man, no human, no animals. But if we see from the view of the created truth, there is I, there is you, there is me, there is mine. If we are not interested in the permanent original truth, we can do what we used to do. We no need to meditate. We no need to do good deeds. But if we are not satisfied with ourselves and with the created truth, we should learn about Buddha teaching, and we should try to find out the original truth. The created truth and the original truth are not the same. For example, real Buddha and the statue of Buddhas are not the same. The real Buddha is more than the statue of the Buddha. The real Buddha is complete. Statue of Buddha is not complete. Our habitual using of the created truth can never understand the original truth. To understand the view of the original truth, we must try to use the created truth to be using only. Trying to be using only is following the middle way. If we see from the view of the created truth, all what we are doing may be right. But if we see from the view of the original truth, there is no I, no you, no me, no mine. That's why doing for ourselves is wrong. Pay attention to something or someone is wrong.
Chú tâm tới một cái gì đó.
Grasping to someone as me or mine is wrong. If we see from the view of the original truth, there is no I, no living beings, no non-living beings. If we see from the view of the original truth, we all are making mistakes. If we are not making mistake, no need to correct. If we continue doing what we used to do, it will never end. If we see from the original truth, we are misusing ourselves. Because we are making mistake, we should change our action. We should abandon thinking about ourselves and working for ourselves. That's why we need to do for the others, we need to keep research, we need to meditate. If we are not correcting our mistake, we must continue our mistake. Using the created truth or cause and effect in the wrong way will never end.
Abandoning or letting go in effort, they are contrary or not, and how we can abandoning in the right way. It means that we abandoning even our effort, or we try to abandon. It means that we even let go our effort, or we have to try to let go.
To be real abandoning practice, we should do what we used not to do. To do what we used to do is easy. Whatever we do, we used to pay attention to our own desire. To be able to abandon this habit, we should pay attention to the desire of the other people. Instead of thinking how we went to practice, we should think about how Buddha went us to practice. Instead of thinking about ourselves, we should think about the others. Instead of thinking about from our side, we should think about from the other side. Instead of working for ourselves, we should work for the others. Instead of thinking about what I must do, we should think about what I should do. And then we should try to do what we should do. Instead of thinking about what I need, we should think about the need of others. Instead of saying what we want to say, we should say what we should say. Instead of eating what we want to eat, we should eat what we should eat. There may be a lot of abandoning practice like this. Only with the abandoning power we can know about ourselves in the right way. In my understanding, letting go may be a part of abandoning. Not letting go is not complete. We need to abandon all our physical, oral, and mental action. The aim of abandoning the action is to be free from attachment to the attachment from the action. We should not misunderstand that we need nothing to do. We must be able to do as much as good deeds we can. But we must be free from attachment from this action. For the sake of the detachment, we should try to abandon our habitual actions. If we do something, we used to pay attention to what we are doing. If we do not meditate, we will pay attention to not practicing meditation, which is not using only, doing only. Now we understand by listening. We should try to understand by our own practice. We also try to abandon the view of the created truth. We are using the view of the created truth, but we cannot abandon the view of someone. That's why we are misusing ourselves. That's why it is necessary to abandon view of the created truth. The more we practice abandoning, the more we do abandoning practice, there will be more and more abandoning power. In this way, nothing will be difficult to abandon.
So through our own practice, now I'm using the breath. I don't have followed the systematic steps, breathing in, breathing out, long breath, short breath, and the whole breath body. So now I only use the breath as a foundation for mindfulness, and then to be mindful other phenomena arising upon the breath and also in the body and mind. Just know it and let go. By doing that, I don't feel any tense or painful in my body. So is it okay for my practice? And also the second point, in abandoning that, we have to contemplate on the impermanence, non-self, and rising, passing away. Is this the key point in Dhammanupassana or not?
The aim of mindfulness to the breathing is to get concentration inside the body. If our mind is stable inside the body, we can know the truth of our body. If we get concentration easily, we do not need to pay more attention to the breathing. If we wish, we can be mindful to know the details of the breathing. I have only little experience about mindfulness to the breath. I used to be mindful to the mind. Only when we are able to stop attention to what we are doing, we will be able to do naturally. We must learn meditation not only by theory but also by practice. Both theory and practical lessons are to use only, not to reject and not to attach. We have to listen to Dhamma talk, but we must try to be using only, without attachment. We must try not to grasp to the teaching. Meditation practice is also necessary, but we must try not to grasp to the practice and to our experience. All the Dhammas are not something, not someone, not to grasp, to use only. To be able to using only, we must pay attention to the truth, to use only, to do only, to know only, to experience only. If we are unable to be using only, there will always be grasping habit in us. If we are grasping to what we know, it will never end. We must try to be knowing only. We must meditate, but we must also be able to detach from our practice. We must use Dhamma teaching, but we must also try to detach from the teaching. We need a lot of meditation experience, but we must try to detach from each of their experience. Both indirect knowing and direct knowing about the practice are also necessary, but we must try to detach from each of the knowing. Because of my weakness, I don't know everything, but if we follow the middle way, we can solve all the problems.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.